been a month, the Galaxy Fold 3. So let's get into the phone itself, let's get into some pros and cons, and yeah, let's go from there. What's up guys, welcome back to Michael's Tech Talk. Just before we get started, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, it really helps me out in the channel, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button if you want to be notified for new videos, and yeah, appreciate it. First impressions of this phone is, it's not massively different than the Fold 2. They have kind of refined it, if you will. They've sort of refined the design and things like that there. The Fold 2 by no means was a bad designed phone, so it's just a wee bit more refined. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it just feels a little thinner and a little bit lighter, to be honest. So it's Phantom Black, so it still looks pretty sweet. So let's talk some specs. We have the 6.2 inch AMOLED display on the front, which is also now 120 Hz, compared to last year's Fold 2, which was 60 Hz. And then on the inside, we have the 7.6 inch foldable AMOLED display, which is 120 Hz, and I must say the display on this is really good. It's got up to 1200 nits of peak brightness, which is excellent in bright light outside. Really good. So it's got the Snapdragon 888 processor, good, quick, snappy processor. Not much more to be said, to be honest. And it has 12 gig of RAM, and it comes in two storage options. Comes in 256 gig or 512 gig. So yeah, pretty much standard stuff. It's got a 4400 milliamp hour battery. The battery is a bit smaller than the Fold 2, but it's to be expected. They've made the device a little bit thinner, so you do get that sort of compromise when you make devices thinner. Sometimes you compromise on the battery, is what it is. And it is IPX8 water resistant, which is really good. It's the first foldable device to be water resistant, which is great. It can be submerged in up to 2 meters of water for 30 minutes. So yeah, pretty good. Although it is only water resistant, it isn't dust resistant, so something to bear in mind. Cameras, let's talk cameras. On the front, we have a 10 megapixel camera, which can shoot up to 4K video at 60 frames per second, which is pretty decent. It's really not bad. It's a decent camera. And on the inside, there is the new camera, which is under the display itself. So there's no hole punch cut out in this. The camera is under the display, you know, and it shows up there. It's kind of pixelated. I'm sure you can see it, but the technology is great. Unfortunately, the camera itself is 4 megapixel, which is it's pretty poor, if I'm being honest. But it is what it is. I mean, it's under the display. It's pretty cool, but in reality, I'm not really sure how much you're going to use it. So, and then on the back we have the triple camera setup. So we've got the all cameras are 12 megapixel. You've got your normal wide lens, you've got your ultra wide lens, and you've got your telephoto lens as well. So cameras they're good. Not much more to be said. I mean, they're not quite as good as, say, the S21 Ultra, for example, but the cameras they're decent enough. They really are. This is the 4K at 60 frames per second on the rear camera of the Fold 3. So let me know down below, is it any good? Do you like it? And we have 4K at 60 frames per second on the front facing camera on the front display. So yeah, what do you think? Let me know down below. And this is the full HD video on the inside display camera, which looks pretty blurry as I'm recording here. So yeah, let me know down below. How does it look? And for the first time on a foldable, these devices now support the S Pen. So you need to buy a specific type of S Pen if you want to use it. You need the Fold Edition pen or the S Pen Pro. Because those phones have tips that retract inside, which allows you to write on the display. If you have a previous S Pen from a previous device, it's not going to work, and when you tap it on the screen, it'll tell you you can't use this because it'll damage the display. So bear that in mind. Don't try to use a wrong pen on this. It could be costly. Let's talk some features. I will say the hinge on this phone, there is improvements in the hinge, if I'm being honest. On the Fold 2, I found the Fold 2, the hinge seemed very, very tight, and sort of when you were opening it, there was a good bit of resistance there. The hinge mechanism on this phone is a lot better. By all means, it's not floppy or anything like that, but it's a lot easier to open, but it is a good solid firm hinge, which is pretty great. It is a good improvement. The cover display. So the cover display, they have, I think they've listened to everybody in the sense that they have made the cover display 120 Hz refresh, which is really, really smooth compared to last year. There was a wee bit of, you know, when you were using the front display, it was like, I'd rather open it up and use the 120 Hz on the inside. You don't get that now. On the outside display, this is pretty great because it matches what's on the inside. And with the cameras on this, the likes of flex mode, which was a really, really good feature on the Fold 2, is still present on this. So you can open up the phone and you can use it as kind of like a mini tripod and things like that there, or if you're viewing content, flex mode and all is still really, really good on this. Let's do some pros and cons, and we'll start with the pros. The design of this phone, it looks awesome. It really does. That matte black finish, which again Samsung have smashed out of the park. The matte black finish on their phones, the phantom black. You know, if Apple ever decide to do a matte black iPhone, yeah, it's that nice. So 120 Hz refresh rate on both displays is great. It means you get a fluid flowing experience on both displays, which is absolutely fantastic. As I've mentioned, flex mode is great for viewing content, and you know, especially with the likes of YouTube. If you open up the phone and open up YouTube, you can have your video playing on the top part of the display and have your comments and things like that down below. That's really, really great. Cameras, again, one of the best features of this phone is being able to use the rear cameras for taking selfies, especially using those ultra wide and those telephoto lenses to take some excellent selfies is such a really, really good feature. Yeah, multitasking on this phone with this inside display is so good on this that you can run 3 apps simultaneously and it'd be a really good experience. That's a good thing to have because you've got so much real estate on the screen. Best make use of it. Games on this inside display, I must say, are pretty good. The display on this, with its really, really crisp, bright colours and the brightness of this display can go to, the games are really, really good, and I can't really say much about that. Even with a lot of phones, you would have to pair likes of a games controller to play games. With this display being so big, you don't even have to. It's practically the size of a controller, so that's pretty awesome, to be fair. I kind of like that. And the full size display is so good for content consumption as well as your everyday pro workflows, which is absolutely great. The likes of emails on this is great. You get a full tablet experience when you're using your emails, which I really, really like. And the likes of, you know, snapping photographs, or even with the likes of the S Pen, you know, doing, like I say, a site drawing or things like that there, or if you're out doing a site survey, is such a really, really good thing to do, and it's easily achievable on this phone. I like that. The S Pen. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not going to say the S Pen is a pro or a con in this video, simply because of my preference, and I'll be truthfully honest, an S Pen on a phone is not really my cup of tea. If I'm being truthfully honest, it's a user preference, and what's not my cup of tea isn't necessarily a lot of other people's cups of tea. So I'm not going to list the S Pen being a pro or a con in these pros and cons, simply for that reason. Let's get on to the cons. First off, can you guess? No expandable storage. I'm gonna have to stop using that as a con, because yeah, it's not really starting to hold up anymore. But no SD reader on this, so you can't put any other cards. So the storage option you get is the one you have. So pick wisely. The cover display, for it being such a really good display, being a 120 Hz OLED panel, I'll be honest, sometimes I struggle to use it because it's quite thin. Now, again, this is more a me problem than, say, a you problem, but I find when I'm trying to write back that message, or if I'm trying to tweet, I find that the screen is too thin, and I find that I make a lot of mistakes when I'm typing, and because of that I end up getting frustrated, and then I end up having to open up the phone, and then before I know it, it's not a convenient experience for me. So that's a wee bit of a con for me. The next thing is, I find at times when I'm using this, especially if I'm playing a game, or if I'm watching a bit of 4K video, for example, anything that's a bit taxing on the phone itself, I do find the phone tends to get quite hot. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's, is that maybe an optimization issue, or is that an issue with the chip, the thermals, the way it's been designed? I don't know. All I know is the phone can get quite hot when doing things that other phones do, and they don't get as hot. And sometimes that's a worry. Cameras. Now, let's not get it twisted. The rear cameras on this phone are great, as is the 10 megapixel camera on the front display. They are great cameras, and I can't really say that they're not. However, the inside camera, I will say, is quite frustrating for me. Simply because, yes, it is under the display, as you can see. It's all sort of pixelated out there. But with the camera in below being only 4 megapixel, it's quite poor. And because it's quite poor, I don't see the point in it. I think it's pointless being there. Yes, it's cool tech to have it in under the display, and it's a pretty cool feature to have. It's, by all means, it's not the first smartphone to do it, but Samsung, it's the first time Samsung have done it, and they've done a pretty good job of doing it. However, I just don't think it's needed, if I'm being honest, simply because the camera on the front is more than capable of taking good quality selfies and good quality videos. And with the added feature of being able to take those same photographs with the rear cameras, I just don't see the point of the inside display. I don't even think it's great for face unlock. So why even have it on the inside? Why not just scrap the camera on the inside and just give it a full display and not have to worry about adding another camera? Just my opinion. So on to the next. As I did say in my Flip 3 video, and by the way, if you haven't checked that out, you can check it out right there. As I did say, I do worry for the longevity of foldables. How is this phone going to look in, say, 2 years? How is this phone going to hold up in 2 years? I'm concerned for the durability of the glass. I'm concerned for the durability of the hinge. And with them not being sort of dust resistant either, that does concern me. As I did say in my Flip video, with foldables, I do feel that you limit your user base to a certain type of user for these phones. Your everyday sort of person that's out, and if they have what you would class as a dirty job, so the likes of a mechanic or a joiner or that sort of job where you get dirty, you get a lot of dust, you get a lot of shrapnel, for example, in around your pockets. Those sorts of things over time and a short period of time can destroy a phone like this. And again, I do have concerns for the longevity of these phones. Oh, and just before I forget, another con. I got the Samsung Galaxy Note starter pack thing, I think is what Samsung called it, which included a charging brick, this case, and the S Pen Fold Edition. They bundled it in with the phone when I ordered it. What I will say is, if you're considering buying this, don't buy it. Please do not buy this. This case is dreadful. It is absolutely awful, and I'll show you why. So you put the case into the phone, all well and good. You look at it and you go, it's not too bad. It's nice sort of leather finish. It's got your Samsung logo on it here. S Pen tucks into the back. So this front bit doesn't secure to the phone in any way. So literally, you've got this flappy bit here, and then when you open it up, the flappy bit overhangs from the phone and just sort of hangs down like this. It's just pretty dreadful, to be honest. And then you've got this big bumpy bit for the S Pen sticking out of the back. So yeah, don't buy it. Please don't buy it. It's all well and good. See, if you get it for free, great job. You can't really complain. I mean, the S Pen alone is about 50 quid. So if you get it free and you get your charging brick free, fair enough. And, you know, put your money and buy a decent case, because this case is pretty dreadful. And finally, optimization. I did voice concerns when I reviewed the Fold 2 about optimization. I did find that there wasn't enough apps optimized for the Fold to give you a true experience and get true capabilities of this phone and of these displays. Now, if I'm being honest, Samsung have made a few improvements this year, especially with the Labs feature in this phone that allows you to go in and scale apps, you know, for the device, which is okay. It's not bad, but for me, simply blowing apps up to fill a display isn't the answer. That's not optimization. That's not optimizing an app to work for that single device. That's simply just taking a normal phone app and going, let's just blow it up. Blowing it up just doesn't make it better. So until there's a lot more apps that are optimized for this, that's going to be a massive frustrating thing for me. It really is. That about wraps it up for this video, guys. So really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you haven't already, do those 3 things for me. And yeah, I'll catch you up in the next one. Thanks, guys.